Everything the light touches is my kingdom. So yeah, I'm just chilling on my mountain today. I wanted to talk to you about life and I guess how you can become a software engineer when you don't have a degree in computer science. So that might be like something you might not have thought about. Maybe you didn't want to like major in computer science initially, or you didn't really know about it, but now you suddenly want to become a software engineer because of all the perks that you can get from it. So there's several ways to become a software engineer, and I guess one of them is to get a degree in computer science. And I'm here to tell you that's not completely needed. I don't have a degree in computer science. Actually, I have a degree in physics. I have a theoretical degree. Okay, that joke's been done too many times. No, it's actually physics. It's not theoretical. It's just normal physics. But so another way you can become a software engineer instead of getting a computer science degree is you can get a degree in some kind of STEM field, because people like to hire STEMs. So STEM, if you didn't know, is science, technology, engineering, math. Because with those like degrees, they're kind of more rigorous than maybe something like a English degree. Not that there's anything wrong with English, but it's maybe a little bit more rigorous. And you might need to solve more like math problems, which you might need to think similarly for them to solve like the computer science algorithms and problems like that. My Alexa just woke up because I said computer. I'll try to limit my use of that. So you might have like a degree in chemistry, biology, or math. Those are kind of like the STEM degrees. So you might be tempted to get a like degree in computer science and some like a second degree after you finish your degree in one of those fields, because a lot of the times those science degrees, it's hard to like really get a job with just the bachelor's degree. That's kind of what happened to me. It was kind of hard to get a job with just a physics degree. So I thought about getting a degree in computer science or maybe some kind of engineering, but then I guess I found a way not to, and I have a software engineer now, so that's great. Actually, I became a teacher for a year. Ooh, that wasn't fun. But anyways, I'm getting off track. So you don't need to get a second degree in computer science to make it work. Or at least for some companies, some jobs do, and some companies do require you to have the degree in computer science, but not all. Especially not like super. Well, like some of the bigger tech companies don't require even degrees at all, which is nice. So you just need to. What you really need to know is the tools of the trade and how to code like the company wants you to do. So what I mean by that is like you need a resume that is, I guess, suited for the job you're applying for. So to do that, you need to kind of, I guess, learn how to code, and there's a bunch of different ways to do that. A bunch of online resources, and then as you're learning, you can probably make a bunch of projects so you can put them on your resume as you're like learning how to code, so that you can demonstrate to whoever's trying to hire you that, hey, look, I did something and that I know how to code all these projects, so hire me. But anyways, so the projects that you want to work on to fill up your resume, because like the resumes, like the way people or find people for jobs is they look for like certain keywords in resumes, like to see if like they have certain technologies. So like, hey, does this resume have projects that have the word spring in them? Like, does the word spring, like it's a framework, does it occur like 5 times? If so, then maybe we'll get a phone interview with this person so we can potentially hire them. So you want to have a variety of different projects that like focus on different things. So maybe like a front end project where you like make a website that you might have actually a purpose. So a lot of these, you want a project that has a purpose, so that you're not just doing this for like a random reason. You want it to be exciting as well. So maybe like make a website to do something like useful, maybe like sell something, have a course on there or something like that. You maybe want to have a website that has a back end as well. So it shows that you can use both sides of the stack, the front end and the back end. So what I mean by this is you want to have something that will make service calls to a server or a database, or server for a database. So you're like storing some data that you retrieve and you make use of that on the front end. That would be all very useful, I guess, topics for a cool project. So you want to also have them be eye-catching, or at least display them to be eye-catching. So the way you can do this is, I guess, when you're picking out the projects or when you're putting them on your resume, you want to like have them pop to the interviewer, like, "Ooh, what is this? I wanna talk to this guy about this cool thing." So yeah, get the cool projects and you'll get a cool job. So another way, if you don't want to do like the projects and stuff like that, code projects, you could just go to like a boot camp and you could learn how to code through that. This is kind of a little bit risky though. I went through a boot camp as well, but I'm not gonna say the name. But you can learn how to go through a boot. You can go through a boot camp, and they could teach you some technologies that are very popular in I guess the job force, not job force, but the job market right now. So you can go to a boot camp to teach like technologies, maybe the data structures and algorithms. But the risk with these boot camps is that they might not teach you what you want to know. And what I mean by that is they might try to teach you things that are kind of like old and outdated. So like they might try to teach you .NET or XML, which are kind of like on their way out and not as useful as they once were, maybe like 10 years ago. I don't know. I don't know when those things were useful, those technologies. So you got to be careful if you want to go through a boot camp, but it could be a viable way to do it. Some of them cost a lot of money, but the job you get in return pays a lot of money. So I guess it makes sense in the end. So you want to learn like new technologies at these boot camps. So like for example, like for the front end, you might want to learn React or Angular to, I guess, make the front end. I'm personally like React, but it doesn't really matter. React or Angular. There's also Vue, that's newer. It's always changing, so this might change in a couple years anyway. So you just got to get used to the changing technology stack. Then maybe for the server side, for some technology you can learn either through a bootcamp on your own. You can learn stuff like Spring with Java or serverless. If you're using like cloud platforms, you can use serverless. Express for JavaScript, and then CDK, cloud development, you can use a bunch of different languages. For CDKs, like for Amazon cloud. So you also need to learn like all this cloud technology. So you can use AWS, Azure, or the Google Cloud. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you learn. They all are. I guess Amazon's the biggest, but Azure is catching up there and is pretty close to AWS at this point, Amazon Web Services, such that you can just learn any of them and you'll probably get a job, because a lot of companies use those platforms because people say like AWS makes more money than Amazon. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyways, you can learn those, I guess, stacks, maybe get certifications. You don't really need to. I made a video on that, on why certifications might not be needed, but you can take them. So yeah, you can learn those to deploy all those AWS services. And then let's go over some languages to learn for if you want to become a software engineer. So I guess the main ones are, if you want to learn for the front end, you want to learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS. I guess those are the core parts that you need to make a solid front end. And then you kind of need to master those. And then alongside it, you need to like at least master one technology like React, Angular, and Vue, like I said before. So master those to get a good front end, but then it's kind of like highly sought after to both work on the front end and the back end. So you might need to learn like Python, Java, or JavaScript as well for the back end. So you might use JavaScript for the front end and the back end, or Node.js. But yeah, Python, Java, there's Ruby on Rails, Go. There's a bunch of different languages you can use for the backend as well. And then after you feel comfortable with all of that, you might want to try to get like a job at a big company like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, or Facebook. And to do that, you might need to, I guess, study a little bit more on the data structures and algorithms. So, and a way to help you with that is to use LeetCode. I'm sure you've heard of it. Or if you're done anything with LeetCode, and LeetCode will just solve all like most of the problems relating to the main like data structures like trees, stacks, queues, linked lists, all that kind of stuff that are asked on interviews, and then solve like 100 of those questions, and you should be well on your way to getting a job at those major companies. So like these companies kind of give you like teaser interview questions, so I wouldn't stress over it too much, because even like the best of people sometimes struggle with these kind of questions. So you just study the appropriate data structures and algorithms, and you should be fine. I mean, it's a big task. It might take months, but the payoff is much better than just working at McDonald's down the street. So a lot of, if you're in the United States, there's a lot of software engineering companies on the West Coast, but the cost of living over there is very much higher than the East Coast. Like, well, maybe not New York, but New York is expensive as well, and there is software engineering, at least some in New York, not as much as the West Coast, but there is like opportunities in the East Coast. Like I'm in Northern Virginia in the DC kind of area, and there's definitely some tech companies here. Like Amazon has their second headquarters here in Arlington, Virginia. But yeah, it doesn't really matter too much the location, though. A lot of people claim that the West Coast is pretty good for software engineering, but it might be harder to get in over there because everyone wants to live there because you get paid way more, like over six figures for like a starting salary. But anyways, thank you for watching. That's all I got for that. So yeah, you just study your butt off, and you can do it without a computer science degree. If you like this video, subscribe and like the video. All right, or comment for questions. Thank you for watching. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games.